It's 10 p.m. We are floating next to an oil rig less than 70 miles off the Libyan coast. We are on the lookout for a migrant boat. We are filming with our night vision camera from on board the Ocean Viking, a rescue vessel. Our light could disturb the crew members who have just responded to a mayday call, a distress call in maritime English.
Are they moving or are they just drifting?
Just drifting, waiting for any vessels.
One of the oil rig workers has just located the boat and is reporting it to the captain.
Just for your information, we have one rubber boat on site with migrants.
Les pneumatiques, c'est toujours plus stressant. On n'a pas d'infos sur les conditions du pneumatique. On sera sur place dans une demi-heure. Feu patate.
Tanguy is in charge of the rescue mission. The rescue workers use the lights from the oil rig to guide their way. Ten minutes later, they find dozens of terrified men on board this inflatable boat. This is a dangerous operation. The boat could capsize at any moment due to the strong swell. Tanguy is going to give the distressed individuals orders to guide them out of this.
Everything I need is you to listen my instructions. Okay. And you're gonna do exactly what I say. Okay. God bless you for saving our life.
Unsure of their nationality, the rescuers immediately address the survivors in English.
Everybody will have, okay?
A few of the men get annoyed.
Look at me, you! Look at me! Shut up! Shut up! Don't play with your life and with their own lives, okay?
With too much movement inside the inflatable boat, the rescue operation is being put at risk.
Shut up! I said you! Shut up! Sit down! You! Sit down and shut up! Capito!
Tanguy's message is received loud and clear. The men will be evacuated one by one.
Thank you.
Can you sit down over there?
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. I beg. Thank you, Lord.
God send you people to come and rescue my life. I'm so appreciative. Allah, thank God for saving my life.
2 hours later, the crew members notice that some of the rescued people have inhaled gas fumes. This is a regular occurrence in this type of rescue mission. This is Emmanuel. He is a 44-year-old Cameroonian. His eyes are burning. Without the help of the rescuers, these 74 men would have died. 6 of them are minors. It was a very close call.
Une opération complétée avec tout le monde vivant à bord, c'est miraculeux, quoi. Dans ces conditions. C'est juste... de toute façon, miraculeux.
Vous vous sentez comment là?
Épuisé.
Those who make it out alive are miracle survivors because the Mediterranean has turned into a graveyard. Over the last 6 years, more than 16,000 people have officially perished or disappeared around the Libyan coast.
J'ai ramassé plusieurs dizaines de cadavres. J'ai vu mourir quelques dizaines de gens sous mes yeux. Et on a dû ressusciter une petite dizaine d'enfants, au moins.
At sea, on board the Ocean Viking, and in the air, on board the Colibri. Several sea rescue specialists work together to combat tragedy. It's a tragedy that affects everyone. Muslims, Christians, Malians, Ivorians, Ethiopians. Most of the individuals originate from sub-Saharan Africa. NGOs are criminalized and their ships are held at the docks.
On entend parfois des gens dire qu'on est complice de passeurs, mais nous on est là parce qu'il y a des gens qui meurent en mer.
These men and women would rather risk their own lives, and even the lives of their children, at sea than stay in the place that Europe wants to keep them, Libya.
Libya is probably one of the worst countries in the world to be a refugee or asylum seeker. It's not a safe place for refugees. It's not a place where you can live in peace.
Libya has been at war since 2011. Here, thousands of migrants are treated like slaves. They live in constant fear of kidnappings.
Tout le monde est policier dans ce pays-là. Tout le monde est policier. Je ne sais pas qui est le vrai policier, tu ne sais pas.
But their biggest fear is being rounded up in the streets and locked up in one of the country's numerous detention centres. We managed to get inside one of the most dangerous detention centres in Libya, in Zawiya. The leader of the centre is this man in combat uniform. The survivors will never forget him.
Le babu a giflé même une femme devant. Allez, baraque, gifle la fille.
Arbitrary detentions, kidnappings, rape and torture. It's a hell they are desperate to escape, no matter the cost. For several months, we followed the rescuers on their missions at sea and in the air. On land, we investigated the countries on both sides of the Mediterranean. Almost 300 miles separate Libya from Sicily. This 300-mile stretch is known as the refugee graveyard. In Marseille, the Blessed Mother looks out over the Mediterranean. She protects all the sailors going out to sea. Today is the 3rd of October 2019. The Ocean Viking is preparing to embark on a month-long mission. Chartered by SOS Méditerranée and MSF, Doctors Without Borders, this ship is replacing the crew's former vessel, the Aquarius. They were forced to abandon the Aquarius in December 2018, following pressure from legal proceedings in different European countries. This freighter belongs to a Norwegian ship owner. It took 2 months to transform it into a rescue ship. These are 31 people on board from France, Germany, the United Kingdom, the USA and Egypt.
Up from a hole, onto a tree, down to a hole again. Grab those 3 and hold.
Most of them are experienced sailors, but a few are embarking for the first time.
Yeah, it's learning, you know, you have to do it over and over again. It's a challenge, but it's good.
They are learning the basics of navigation and first aid.
Do more quickly, but this is taking. Cross the fingers, identify the place, put this part of the hand. If I'm doing CPR,
29-year-old Theo has already completed 4 missions with SOS Méditerranée, but prior experience doesn't stop this merchant navy officer from practicing these life-saving moves.
L'entraînement fait que les gestes vont devenir automatiques et si on ne va pas bien au fond des choses à travers ces entraînements-là, en cas de situation de crise, on ne fera sans doute pas bien les gestes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
The Ocean Viking is 69 meters long. The volunteers quickly have to learn their way around. On deck with 39-year-old Tanguy, the man in charge of the rescue operations.
We have some people on watch sometimes. All time, basically. Just remember this one can be activated over there. Spring!
At the back of the ship, there are 6 containers. 2 of them are reserved for food.
How many more? About 10.
Duncan from the UK is on his first mission on board the Ocean Viking.
Do the NRG5 here. Well, they know.
He's in charge of logistics and food supplies.
We want to have enough food for multiple rotations to give us flexibility for where we can disembark.
Duncan is also responsible for this other container, which he hopes never to have to use.
This is a specially refrigerated container for holding bodies. So you've got body bags, adult and children. We try and be prepared for everything. But yeah, obviously we hope it will just be survivors.
For 6 years, the Mediterranean has been a graveyard. more than 16,000 people have died or disappeared off the Libyan coast. Soldier, firefighter, deep-sea fisherman, Tanguy, head of rescue operations, had several lives before he began a career in sea rescues.
Mon grand-père m'a toujours appris que en mer, la valeur première, c'est la solidarité. Du coup, voilà. Je quittais la pêche, j'avais le choix de faire quelque chose d'autre à la place. Du coup, j'ai juste posé ma candidature. On a la vie des gens entre les mains. En 3 ans de service sur ce théâtre d'opération, j'ai vu plus de morts, plus de cadavres et j'ai sauvé plus de personnes qu'en 12 ans de service dans des services de secours traditionnels.
The crew members on board the Ocean Viking only have one objective: identifying possible refugee boats.
The starting point of the active search in 1 hour and a half.
These countless hours of surveillance often save lives. Now something seems to be emerging in the distance.
Pratiquement sûr que c'est un wooden boat.
Yeah, I agree.
Tanguy is convinced that the dark mass on the horizon is a wooden boat. The work conducted by the Ocean Viking costs €14,000 a day. Thanks to the anonymous donations of thousands of benefactors from all over Europe, this vessel can be used to save lives. These donations have allowed the rescuers to purchase state-of-the-art equipment, like these 3 semi-rigid inflatable boats with powerful engines. As a result, Tanguy and his team can quickly reach anyone in distress. Tanguy was wrong. It isn't a wooden boat, it's a rubber boat that has started to deflate. There are lots of babies and children on board. Some of them are wearing life jackets, which are not suitable for the open seas.
On est des humanitaires. On est là pour vous aider. Slowly, slowly. On va tous vous emmener sur le gros bateau là-bas. Mais pour ça, j'ai besoin que vous m'aidiez. Et pour m'aider, j'ai besoin que vous soyez silencieux. Vous ne bougiez pas. D'accord?
First, Tanguy distributes proper life jackets to the youngest on board.
I need a baby one.
Evacuating the passengers without protection is out of the question. Here, one wrong move could be fatal. Most of them don't know how to swim. At only a few months old, this girl is the first priority.
Hello, can you come here?
There's the stay, okay?
Hello?
The next priority is to get the women to safety.
I need you to take care of the kids, okay? Okay?
This is the second rescue since the team left Marseille. In less than 24 hours, Tanguy and his crew have rescued 176 people. Now it's time to identify them.
C'est juste pour qu'on sache. Vous venez de quel pays? Côte d'Ivoire.
Mali.
Mali, ok. Vous avez quel âge? 22 ans. 22 ans? Yes. I'm 26. 25?
A red wristband for the adults and a yellow one for the minors. There are 23 minors travelling alone without their families. The rescued people are happy to still be alive. All the men sleep on the floor inside this container. The women and children have their own private space that we weren't allowed to film.
Eh, t'as vu, j'ai fait un hippopotame.
Ah, l'hippopotame.
Eh, bah regarde.
Yeah! Yeah!
C'est bien. Bon, là, ça ressemble.
Maman, regarde le
On board the Ocean Viking, the crew's work continues after the rescue operation.
Come along in, Caddy. Please sit here.
Jonquil is English. She lives in Scotland. She's retired. She used to work as a midwife. Her patient is a 24-year-old woman from the Ivory Coast. She is 6.5 months pregnant. She escaped a Libyan detention centre with her other 2 children.
Good. Strong. C'est fort.
The young woman appears indifferent towards the baby's heartbeat. This reaction no longer surprises Jonquille, who has already participated in several humanitarian missions. She has encountered this complete lack of emotion before.
Puis-je demander, c'est une grossesse parce que vous êtes violée? Non. C'est d'accord? Vous êtes heureuse? Vous êtes enceinte? Pas trop heureuse. Okay. Ça passe. Many women will deny having been raped or having to perform what we call survival sex or transactional sex. I'm sure it's often is not consensual. I'm sure they wouldn't choose to be pregnant when they make this crossing. But for instance, the lady we've just seen said, no husband, no father to the child. No, I wasn't raped. I'm not sure that I believe that.
Rape is a taboo subject. It is very rare for these women to agree to talk about it. This mother and her children were also locked up in a Libyan detention centre. She has agreed to talk to us.
Chaque policier choisit, surtout les plus petites, plus jeunes là, il part avec. Souvent les couche à côté, il sort juste là, il couche avec une autre, il la ramène. Chaque fois que je regarde ma fille, je pense directement à celle-là. Directement. Dieu merci, à l'époque, ça fait 2 ans, ma fille était encore très petite. Sinon, elle devait subir le même sort si elle était comme ça maintenant. On était obligé souvent de ne pas se laver, de ne pas prendre ta toilette, de sentir pour que quand l'arabe va passer à côté de toi, tu sens tellement qu'il ne te touche pas. Parce que quand tu te laves, directement, il a envie de coucher avec toi.
Stories of rape and also of abominable torture. The rescued people on board the Ocean Viking are all in agreement. It's a daily occurrence in the Libyan detention centres. Emmanuel, the Cameroonian who inhaled gas fumes during the nocturnal rescue, has recovered his strength. He was also arrested and detained in Libya. For how long? He doesn't know. The torture made him lose all sense of time. Now he opens up about it for the first time.
Il prend ta main, il met par terre comme ça. Il prend le bâton. Il le frappe. Il frappe des doigts. Il te fracasse les doigts. Il nous tapait matin, soir, matin, soir, matin, soir.
Emmanuel was arbitrarily detained in Zawiya, a town situated approximately 30 miles from Tripoli, the capital of Libya. Most of the rescued people on the Ocean Viking have spent time in the detention centre there.
Quand on vient à 19h30, 20h, il faut nous faire sortir pour manger. Bon, moi je me dis peut-être c'est un bon repas, c'est des macaronis bouillis. Ça chauffe à 100 degrés. Ça chauffe à 100 degrés. Vous avez au trop 2 minutes pour manger. Avec les mains, ça chauffe sur le pied, il te dit, aïe, tu dois mettre la main. 2 fois, tu mets dans ta bouche, aïe, tu rentres en cellule. Tu perds le temps. C'est le boudin que tu vas recevoir. On va te briser une côte.
Emmanuel managed to escape, but to avoid ever being detained again, there was only one solution: risk his life at sea.
Et si les gardes-côtes libyens vous avaient arrêté, vous auriez fait quoi?
Moi, personnellement, je plongeais dans la mer que de retourner en Libye.
Libya has been forever branded into the rescued people's minds. We went to investigate the city on the other side of the horizon, Tripoli. Since the fall of dictator Muammar Gaddafi in 2011, the Libyan militias now reign supreme in a merciless war for the capital and for oil. Since April 2019, the clashes between pro- and anti-government factions, backed by other countries, have doubled in intensity at the city border.
dreadful, you know, situation very bad.
I know you have permission, I know.
The people killed every day, normal here, very normal. This from me and you.
Okay, thank you.
On the day of our arrival, the military school is the target of an air raid. The following day, the bodies of alleged martyrs are carried through the crowd. It's a civil war for the Libyans, but also for the immigrants who are stuck in the conflict. We pass them at every roundabout, always grouped together for protection. They are searching for work. A rare haven of security is the Caritas building, situated just alongside this church. Caritas is a Catholic NGO that opens its doors to those in need every Friday after Mass. This Syrian family has sought safety here.
حتى أولادي في المدرسة ابني الصغير ضربوه طردوا لي إياه من المدرسة قلنا ما بدنا ولا أي مساعدة بدنا إعادة توطين وضعنا صعب جدا هون.
Liliane is in charge. She is from Burundi and has been a refugee here herself since 2011.
Critique. Vu ce qui ne s'arrête pas, la guerre qui ne s'arrête pas, tout ça là. Donc il y en a beaucoup qui n'ont pas là où habiter. Ils n'ont pas de shelter. Il y en a ceux qui n'ont pas à manger, qui ont besoin d'argent.
Every week, Liliane helps dozens of vulnerable individuals. They come here from Syria, the Ivory Coast, and even the Central African Republic, like Adelph, his wife, and their 2 kids.
Quelque chose pour les enfants. Sauce. Pour les bébés, les petits sucreries.
Adelph agrees to talk to us as long as we agree to be discreet. He and his family are hiding in this house. Their shutters are always closed. For his security, we can't say any more about their house. Adelph's journey to Europe began 7 years ago in 2013. He was a victim of the civil war in the Central African Republic. He shows us where he got shot in the arm.
Le mouvement est resté ici. Donc ça peut pas venir jusque là.
In the middle of the interview, Adelph breaks down. After the Central African Republic, they made it to Chad and then to Libya. To escape, they attempted the crossing.
Au milieu de la mer, on nous a attrapés. La police libyenne. On nous a ramenés à Zawiya. De Zawiya, avec ma femme et mon enfant. Ma femme était enceinte de 7 mois, comme ça, 7 mois.
Whether it's inside the detention centres or out on the streets, the extortion of immigrants is systematic. Adelph was forced to hide the last of his savings.
En partant, j'ai caché 50 € et à la fin, j'ai plié, caché dans les clous des ceintures. Il a perdu sa valeur, je sais pas. C'est comme ça.
Adelph and his family managed to escape Zawiya. Their little girl was born in this house last July. Adelph brought her into the world.
Le 23 7e mois 2019.
Adelph has been stuck in Libya for 2 years, even though he already has a refugee card. Theoretically, this card should allow him to receive support from the United Nations.
Ça va, bébé. Je suis victime de guerre, ça se voit. Et le HCR doit me prendre en charge. Et je ne sais même pas pourquoi je garde encore cette carte. C'est inutile.
This morning, Adelph risks leaving his house to go to UNHCR Centre, Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees. Getting an appointment with someone there is his only hope of leaving Libya without having to risk the Mediterranean crossing. Adelph is constantly on his guard.
Tout le monde est policier dans ce pays-là. Tout le monde est policier. Je ne sais pas qui est le vrai policier, je ne sais pas. Parfois on nous attrape, parfois on est kidnappé par des destinations inconnues.
He always keeps his phone with him to activate the geolocation.
Au cas où je sais que c'est une destination inconnue, je peux balancer ça à un frère le plus vite possible.
Et qu'est-ce qu'il peut faire le frère?
On ne sait jamais si en cas où je ne retourne pas à la maison, néanmoins il sait quand même là où j'ai disparu.
Adelph is not the only one to risk everything for a meeting with the UNHCR. Dozens of refugees like him are waiting there. Technically, these documents should allow them to receive support.
Ils ne vont pas ouvrir. Ils ne vont pas. Parce que tous mes frères qui sont là, certains ils ont fait 3 jours. Rester matin jusqu'au soir. Matin jusqu'au soir pendant 3 jours. Certains 4 jours. Ils n'ont pas ouvert.
Like the others, Adelph leaves empty-handed. The UNHCR headquarters is situated in this suburb in Tripoli, just behind these walls. It is impossible to enter this bunker without official authorization. We managed to secure a meeting with Caroline Gluck, the representative for the UNHCR in Libya. According to her, the refugees are stuck here because few Western countries are willing to receive them.
We continue to press, to be the moral conscience, to urge governments to offer more space. But we're operating in political environments. Many governments are more concerned about public opinion at home.
In 2019, more than 46,000 refugees were registered in Libya. Only 2,427 were able to leave the country legally.
The country in conflict, it's the country that doesn't recognise that they deserve protection and safety. Libya is probably one of the worst countries in the world to be a refugee or asylum seeker. There is a very high chance that you will be abused, tortured physically, sometimes raped.
This abuse most often occurs inside the country's detention centres. There are dozens of official and clandestine centres all throughout Libya. One of the most notorious detention centres is found in Zawiya, a town situated approximately 30 miles from Tripoli. Both Adelph's family and Emmanuel, the Cameroonian rescued by the Ocean Viking, have been detained there. We requested permission from the Libyan government to take a look inside the centre. It was not granted to us, so we are going to find another solution. On the 7th of January 2020, a protest in support of the government has been organised. To achieve our objective, we are going to try to draw closer to this man speaking at the rostrum. His name is Khaled, and he is a member of Zawiya's Council of Sages.
فرنسا بالذات هي التي كانت المعول الأول لدعمها لمجرم الحرب حفتر الانقلابي.
Khaled is furious. He believes that France supports his enemy, the General Haftar. General Haftar allegedly bombed Zawiya 10 days prior to this protest. The shells supposedly landed a few dozen meters from the detention centre. To prove this to us, he promises to grant us entry to the centre. When we arrive in Zawiya, Khaled is there as promised. But before we can enter the detention centre, there is another mandatory requirement. We have to meet the mayor, who has a message for the French nation.
السلام عليكم. عملية الهجرة الغير شرعية هذه ما تسمى غير شرعية. هذه كارثة على الليبيين تحديدا لأن ليبيا هي تعاني منها. الآن موجودين بالآلاف المؤلفة تصرف عليهم الحكومة الليبية من قوت الشعب الليبي في الوقت اللي استعمرتهم دول أخرى وامتصت خيراتهم وتركتهم فقراء ويموتوا حتى في الطريق بسبب الوصول إلى أوروبا.
The mayor has forgotten an important fact. Since 2017, Europe has allocated more than 90 million euros to Libya to confront the migrant crisis.
شوف المهاجرين في ليبيا داخلين الآن نحن نعاملهم معاملة إنسانية ونحاول بقدر الإمكان أن تكون هذه المعاملة فيها رضا إنساني.
Khalid is tasked with showing us the damage. He shows us the damage that the recent bombings caused to this technical school. 500 students are enrolled here, cracked walls, destroyed equipment and craters in the middle of the playground.
لو كان الطلبة مجتمعون في تلك اللحظة وكان يوم دراسة لحدثت كارثة بكل ما تعنيه الكلمة، كارثة إنسانية. هنا مركز يواء وإعادة تأهيل وعلاج المعاقين بجانبه مباشرة، وبجانب المركز يواء المعاقين هناك مركز يواء الهجرة غير الشرعية مباشرة سوف نذهب إليه الآن.
A few minutes later, the doors to Zawiya's detention centre finally open.
هذا مركز يواء الهجرة غير الشرعية، كما ترون أمام الشرعية 700 حوالي أو أكثر جاءوا إلى هنا في هذا المركز. السلام عليكم. وكما قلنا الضربة كانت هنا بجوارهم، ذلك المكان المعهد بجوار هذه المركز.
At first, everything seems normal. There is a slide and drawings on the wall. But then this child raises his arms as though someone were aiming at him.
You don't speak English?
Khalid points us to this man wearing black glasses and a combat uniform. He is the leader of the camp.
بجوار الضرب اللي صارت في المعهد.
قالوا لي حتى المهاجرين هنا هم نفسهم اللي كانوا في التجارة واللي تعرضوا للحصر.
We follow him and discover hundreds of detainees crouching in the courtyard. They are frozen in complete silence. Our cameras unnerve the camp leader, so Khalid pleads our cause.
هنا غير الورقه غير رجال العقيده معكم ما يتحشم من باقي الورقه ماليش الجهاز والقصه والتعليم الوزاره الداخليه فهمت هذيك هي. انت تقول له جو معنا كنا مع عميد بديه قرب نص كلمني هما العميد احنا استوزات هيك تصريحات واحد مسكين بصراحه محمد احنا اللي نركزوا عليه احنا نولد الخوف وشوف الواش كلها تكسرت تعال وريني خلي يشوفوا صوره خلي ياخذ صوره معه ونجيب مرتين ثلاثه هذول معهم نفس.
Accompanied by the camp leader, Khalid goes to talk to the refugees. He forgets that he is wearing a microphone.
احنا في مكان هذا مكان آمن موفرين كل شيء وشكرا لهم وكل شيء، لكن جتنا الطائرة هذه خوفنا بالخوف وبالفزع شعرنا به. نقل الحقيقة يعني. وصلوا صوتكم وصلوا هذا اللي صالحكم وصلوا وقولوا احنا رانا في مكان.
In response to the orders, this man approaches our cameras. We will not reveal the comments he made under coercion.
اكثر من 4 و3 سنين تو ويتهموا فينا حتى ما نهربوا بشر ويتهموا فينا هم حتى ما مش فروج اكثر منظمات. انا نقول لك شو ندير تخدم منظمه تلخبط الفوضى تبهها بالعاني ترجع مثلا حفتر وتجي نقول مثل مع السراج وتسمع فيها كيف بالعاده بالفوضى في ليبيا. بس في ناس تستفيد من مشاكل الهجر ومشاكل ثانيه حتى فلوس اوروبا توصل منظمات نفس القصه ما وصلناش منها احنا اللي وصلنا احنا ما نوصلش حتى 5%.
In an attempt to convince us that the camp is a place where human rights are respected, we're taken on an obligatory tour of this tent. According to Khalid, this church is proof of the Libyan authorities' kindness towards their Christian detainees.
وهذا يدل على شيء يدل على يعني مقدار العمل الإيجابي الذي يقومون به وتوفير كل وسائل الراحة لهؤلاء الذين يريدون أن يعني يحسنوا من وضعهم المعيشي ويحاولون أن العربي هذا أحد الإخوة من أتباع الدين المسيحي. هل وجدتم راحة هنا في ممارسة يعني طقوس دينكم؟ تمارسون العبادة هنا بكل راحة؟
نعم هنا في راحة مع السنو. أنا المجال اللي لقينا زي الفرصة في حاجة في الكنيسة في البلد ما في أي حاجة لقينا فيها مجال أننا فرصة فيها.
في هذه الديانة المسيحية التي نحترم كل أتباعها فهم إخوتنا في الإنسانية. انظر هنا لهم مطلق الحرية.
We take advantage of a moment of distraction to enter the main building, where we discover an entirely different reality.
We can enter? No problem.
This detainee lets us in. There are no guards watching. In this cell, hundreds of mattresses are piled on top of each other on the floor, proof that the detention centre is overcrowded. What's more, the testimonies of their suffering have been etched onto the walls. It's the same thing in all the other cells. The toilets are unsanitary, but they are the only source of water for the hundreds of detainees. This dormitory, where the prisoners are all squashed together, is also used as a kitchen. A basic gas cylinder is used to prepare the meal of the day, popcorn, and for this other detainee, a piece of dry bread. It's difficult to have a proper conversation with this man. There are several people behind us, and they seem to unnerve him.
What are your conditions here? It's okay?
No, we are at a bad situation here.
What do you want? You want to escape from here? You want to go out?
Where I escape? I just want to evacuate from here.
After a few minutes, our absence is noted. The leader comes to find us himself. He orders us not to use the videos filmed inside the centre, as this could portray the camp in a bad light. Back outside, we also spot one of the representatives from the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees.
I cannot make any interviews because I'm not allowed. Sorry.
Although they have never publicly denounced it in their reports, the UNHCR cannot deny the terrible living conditions inside Zawiya's detention centre. As he sees us out, the camp leader confiscates the elastic band this child is playing with. These videos, procured from legal experts in Europe, were filmed in secret by the detainees with their mobile phones. They will no doubt be used as proof to initiate legal proceedings in the future. Here the detainees are beaten with clubs. In this video, shots can be heard from inside the centre. According to witnesses, at least 4 detainees are said to have been injured on this night. To escape this hell, the detainees either have to pay the guards 4,500 dinar, which equates to almost 1,000 euros, or find another way to flee, like Emmanuel. We head to Bari, Italy. 3 months after being rescued by the Ocean Viking crew, Emmanuel has found refuge here. We show him our footage from the detention centre in Zawiya. He immediately recognises the cells.
Vous êtes allé là? Ce côté-ci, c'était, même quand j'étais là, c'était le côté des Somaliens. Ah, je vois ça, c'est la grande cellule qui est là-bas au fond. Nous, on appelait ça le Kosovo.
Kosovo is a reference to the Kosovo War that took place in the Balkans at the end of the 90s.
Quand c'est en hiver, il fait très froid alors parce que c'est une très grande salle. C'est là-bas qu'on va te taper, c'est là-bas qu'on va te maltraiter, c'est là-bas qu'on va faire tout. On vous met toujours là-bas. Parfois, tu vas voir la grande cellule comme ça. Là, quand j'étais là, parfois, tu vas trouver qu'il y a seulement 8 personnes. Et les 8 personnes là, c'est ça alors qu'on les torture. On appelait la cellule là le Kosovo.
Emmanuel also recognizes the man in charge of the detention center.
Ça, c'est le barbu. Là, je le connais. Avec son rire hypocrite. Quand il y a l'organisation, il fait comme s'il était très gentil. Mia, 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 mia. Mais quand il part là, c'est l'enfer. Moi, il ne m'a pas frappé, mais le barbu a eu à gifler même une femme devant. Allez, barrage, gifle la fille, boum! Il a enfermé une femme avec son bébé. Pendant l'hiver, elle venait même d'accoucher.
An instigator of violence. But according to Emmanuel, the individual identified as the bearded man is also the one misappropriating the humanitarian aid.
Lui, là, on est venu comme ça, là, on nous a distribué les couvertures, les matelas. Après, le camion est venu. C'est nous-mêmes, il nous a fait sortir. On a chargé ça dans le camion est parti avec. La voiture est partie avec.
C'est-à-dire que lui, il détourne l'aide humanitaire.
Oui. Moi, j'ai dit ce que j'ai vécu. Et c'est lui-même en personne, c'est lui-même qui nous a débrouillé. C'est lui qui nous a donné l'ordre de charger. On a chargé, c'est parti. Tout le monde qui a fait cette prison aimerait entendre un jour qu'on a détruit cette prison, que ça n'existe plus. Que ça n'existe plus.
The European Union supports Libya. More than 90 million euros have been spent on training for the nation's coast guards. The same coast guards who bring the migrants back to the camps where the torturers reign supreme. The humanitarians who work in this zone are regularly prevented from carrying out their operations. We flew over the Mediterranean with José Benavente on board the Colibri. At 50 years old, this professional pilot founded the NGO Pilotes Volontaires, voluntary pilots, and purchased this single-engine aircraft with a friend for 130,000 euros, their life savings. Their mission, locate boats in distress.
J'embête un petit peu pour qu'ils nous voient et qu'ils prennent la bonne direction. Ok. On peut pas faire plus. On peut pas faire moins. On fait pas du guidage, mais faut pas qu'ils retournent en Libye. Ils viennent de s'en échapper. Ouais.
It's the summer of 2019 when we fly over these Libyan coast guards. The NGOs have been held up on land by legal proceedings. José is the only witness in this area.
À plus de 100 km de la côte libyenne. Un bateau de l'ONG avait été dans le secteur. Il aurait tout à fait été en mesure de le secourir. Ça fait des mois qu'on fait tout pour qu'il ne le soit plus. Donc à chaque fois qu'ils arrivent au port avec des rescapés, on les accuse d'être complices des passeurs, entre autres. Et puis on retarde au maximum le retour en mer. Pour nous c'est très clair. La volonté c'est de faire en sorte qu'il n'y ait pas de témoins sur la scène de crime.
After a year and a half of missions, the Colibri is also held up on land by an administrative procedure in Italy. This time we meet José in Lampedusa. His plane is now grounded.
Cet avion, il peut continuer à faire des vols récréatifs, des vols de type touristique sur tout le territoire italien, y compris sur le territoire européen en général, mais on n'est plus autorisé à partir au-dessus des eaux internationales au large des côtes libyennes pour essayer de repérer des bateaux qui se retrouveraient en détresse. Là, il semblerait que d'après la réglementation italienne, on n'ait plus le droit de faire ce qu'on a fait jusqu'à présent.
The Colibri returns to France. It's the end of a great adventure for José and his 12 volunteers. Now they hope to find a new plane to continue their air surveillance. After several months of delays, Tanguy and the humanitarians from SOS Méditerranée and MSF head back out to sea on board the Ocean Viking.
mission est sacrée. C'est ce qu'on m'a appris à l'armée. Je continuerai tant qu'il y aura besoin, tant que je serai capable, et jusqu'à ce qu'on m'empêche de le faire.
Today, the 18th of October 2019, marks the third rescue operation of the month.
We are a humanitarian organization, and I'm gonna lead this rescue, okay? Okay, my friend, slowly, slowly.
It's another overloaded inflatable boat, full of men, women and children.
Merci, 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 merci. Merci beaucoup. Merci, merci.
As they climb aboard the Ocean Viking, the 104 rescued people are sure that they have secured their freedom. However, since 2017, at the initiative of the European Union, a new rescue zone has been established. It is this area highlighted in red. When a boat is in this sector, the Libyan Coast Guards are allowed to intervene and take the migrants back to Libya. And that's exactly where the Ocean Viking is currently on patrol. The crew takes the lead by informing both the Libyan and the European authorities of their intervention via email. The Libyans are the first to respond. Orders are given to dock in Tripoli harbour. This email is a time bomb. The crew keeps it a secret, otherwise there will be a mutiny on board. For the humanitarians, docking in Libya is entirely out of the question.
C'est pas tolérable. C'est pas tolérable. Vous vous rendez compte, on est en pleine mer, au large de l'Italie, et on nous répond à peine quand on envoie un mail aux gardes-côtes italiens. On nous répond qu'ils sont pas en charge et que c'est pas eux de gérer. Donc nous, on se retourne vers qui on nous a dit d'aller en Libye, donc on va faire quand on doit aller en Libye, là où c'est la guerre? Bah non, c'est pas tolérable. Le droit maritime, c'est pas ça.
According to maritime law, the rescued people have to be taken to a safe location. Unbeknownst to everyone on board, a power struggle has just begun between the Ocean Viking and Europe to break this impasse.
Merci à vous. Merci à vous. Dieu merci. Je vous kiffe.
The struggle could last several days, even weeks, so the passengers need to be kept busy to help pass the time. The rear end of the deck is transformed into a gigantic outdoor laundromat.
Some of them, they were not able to wash their clothes maybe for a long time, and part of taking care of ourselves. I clean my clothes, so I take care of myself. I start to recover in myself, my dignity, you know.
Further along, a hair salon has been set up. Water is rationed for the rescued people. They have to wait until their number is called to be able to shower.
Il faut faire attention avec l'eau, c'est ça?
Oui, c'est juste 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Days go by without any response from the Italian authorities. Despite the rising tension, the crew members are staying positive. They are in good spirits when they prepare this evening's meal, portions of freeze-dried food.
It's super good. It's super good. I use also when I'm going to the mountain. It's very nice. Very nice. Good. A lot of calorie. Good. Very good food.
After months of privation, this dinner is a welcome change. On board, the passengers talk less about Libya and more about football.
Actuellement, le meilleur joueur de la planète, actuellement, c'est Dino. Tu ne peux pas le remplacer. Mon petit, quelqu'un qui court par le but, il marche des titres. Voilà si ça t'a été dit. Non, mais c'est un artiste. Mais tu peux pas lui jouer. C'est quelqu'un qui
21-year-old Lassina from the Ivory Coast defends his favourite football player, while the younger children read stories before brushing their teeth and going to bed. But a week after the rescue, the Ocean Viking gets caught in a storm.
On se sent très mal. Très mal.
Huge waves rock the humanitarian ship to and fro. For the crew members, the tension is also rising.
Since we sent the first post request, we didn't receive any reply. And just a few minutes ago, I just brought an email asking if they have any feedback or any update for us. And we just wait.
The word wait means that they have to go around in circles. The Ocean Viking has become a prisoner of the Mediterranean. You can see it on this map. The ship is travelling back and forth between Malta and the Italian island of Lampedusa. This puts pressure on the authorities from both countries. But all this toing and froing unnerves the survivors. They are scared that they will have to return to their past hell.
Pour le moment, on se dirige vers le sud-est. Le sud, c'est la direction de la Libye. Là, ça nous fait un peu de frisson quand on ne veut pas se retourner encore vers le sud.
Their nerves will continue to be tested for several more days. It's more than a week after the rescue, and there's still no European port that is willing to accept the 104 passengers. In the middle of a film, a fight breaks out. The crew immediately intervenes to separate them. The passengers reach a low point. Even Lassina, the football enthusiast, has lost hope. He's so upset that he hardly touches his dinner.
J'essaie, mais je n'arrive pas. Essaye, ça passe pas.
The humanitarians have almost never had to wait so long to disembark their rescued passengers. In an attempt to lift their spirits, they decide to try something new.
We're going to try and cook a meal for the rescued people, which has never been done before in the history of MSF. But hey, it's always nice to have a bit of change.
Cooking bulgur for 104 people is a challenge. They have to make the right amount of food.
5 times 20, 65.
If their calculations are not accurate, there may not be enough food for everyone. Unfortunately, that's what happens. There are 6 portions missing, including Lassina's. The team quickly finds him another meal. As one of his staple foods, this cup of rice fills him with joy.
Qu'est-ce qui se passe, la Sina?
Non, moi j'habite ici, ça m'a fait du bien.
Et votre riz,
C'est ça que j'ai besoin. Je n'arrive pas à manger tous les jours là. C'est de ça qu'il s'agit pour moi.
Pourquoi vous le partagez? Pourquoi vous ne gardez pas pour vous?
C'est l'union. La l'union.
Duncan and his team were right. All it took was a good meal to put a smile back on Lassina and his friends' faces.
Ça va. Et la journée, ça a été?
Ouais, ça va.
Formidable. C'est la nouvelle ordre, on attend pour voir. C'est qu'est-ce qu'on espère que ça va aller.
2 days later, the Ocean Viking wins the power struggle. Italy agrees to open its harbour. An agreement between Italy, France and Germany is made to split the reception of the 104 passengers. The Ocean Viking heads to Pozzallo harbour in Sicily.
Je sais pas comment définir le sentiment. Ça devrait être systématique, c'est pas... Oui, en soi, c'est un soulagement maintenant, mais non, c'est pas forcément un soulagement, parce que la prochaine fois, ce sera peut-être pareil. On va peut-être encore rester pendant des jours et des jours, alors que c'est contraire à la loi. Donc un soulagement dans l'immédiat, oui, quoi. Un soulagement, non, pas encore.
It may not be a total relief for the crew, but it certainly is for the rescued people. It's the last night on board the Ocean Viking for Lassina and his friends. The next morning, after enduring Libya and all its horrors, after risking their lives at sea, the 104 rescued people will finally reach Europe. For them, it's a land of freedom. A welcome committee comprised of humanitarians and police officers awaits them. Another pilot has to take control of the Ocean Viking and lead it into the harbour. He climbs on board wearing a protective mask and coveralls.
Ouais, c'est un peu désolant quoi. En fait, nous, ça fait 11 jours qu'on est avec eux et on n'a rien de tout ça, évidemment. On est en contact avec eux tout le temps. Voilà. Comme ça, précaution sanitaire, on va dire.
One by one, the 104 passengers are examined by a health professional. But this mandatory step doesn't prevent a final moment of celebration. The crew members are touched and form a guard of honour. 12 days after their rescue, the passengers finally step out onto solid ground. But with the Italian authorities in charge, uncertainty reigns. None of the rescued people are sure of their final destination. Over the past 4 years, SOS Méditerranée and MSF have rescued more than 30,000 people. But for how much longer will these humanitarian rescuers be able to continue their work inside the Mediterranean graveyard?